The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Rin Valor was dragged before the assembly. His scaled hands were bound in graviton cuffs that hummed with containment energy. The hybrid stood tall despite his restraints, his reptilian eyes gleaming with defiance beneath a distinctly human brow. Half his face bore the smooth skin of his human mother, while the other displayed the emerald scales of his saurian father. He was a living testament to a forbidden union, a creature that shouldn't exist according to the Council's ancient genetic purity laws. Admiral Threx rose from his seat, his forearms gesturing dramatically as he addressed the assembled delegates. The Admiral's crystalline exoskeleton caught the chamber's light, scattering rainbow patterns across the walls. His voice carried the weight of authority that came from commanding the Council's military forces for 3 centuries. Members of the Galactic Council, Threx began, his translator rendering his words in 1,000 languages simultaneously. Today we address an abomination. This creature, born of forbidden genetic mixing, represents everything we have worked to prevent. Humanity's reckless disregard for biological sanctity has created this thing. Rin's jaw clenched, but he remained silent. He had learned long ago that protests fell on deaf ears in these halls. Therefore, Threx continued, I propose immediate exile to the Forbidden Zone. Let the Black Nebula be his prison, where no civilized species dares venture. There he can contemplate the consequences of humanity's arrogance. The vote was swift and unanimous. Rin Valor, decorated soldier of 3 campaigns, savior of the Andromeda colonies and defender of countless worlds, was condemned without trial. His crime was simply existing. The transport ship dropped Rin on a barren moon at the edge of the Black Nebula. The pilot didn't even look at him as the airlock sealed. Within moments, the vessel vanished into faster-than-light space, leaving Rin alone with nothing but a survival pack and the clothes on his back. The moon was designated X7749, a worthless rock that barely supported an atmosphere. Rin activated his suit's environmental systems and surveyed his new prison. Jagged mountains stretched toward a purple sky, and the ground was covered in dark volcanic glass that crunched under his boots. So this is it, he muttered to himself, the great Galactic Council's mercy. But Rin Valor hadn't survived 3 wars by giving up. His human half gave him adaptability and creativity, while his saurian heritage provided enhanced strength and accelerated healing. If they thought abandoning him here was a death sentence, they had severely underestimated what humanity's stubbornness combined with reptilian resilience could achieve. He spent his first weeks exploring the moon, discovering caves that provided shelter and underground water sources heated by geothermal vents. His hybrid biology proved advantageous. He could endure temperature extremes that would kill either parent species. The scales on his body regulated heat, while his human ingenuity allowed him to fashion tools from the moon's abundant minerals. Months passed, then years. Rin built a functioning habitat from salvaged materials and the moon's resources. He established hydroponic gardens using bioluminescent fungi he discovered deep underground. He even managed to repair an ancient mining drone he found in an abandoned facility, giving him both companionship and assistance with heavy labor. But isolation wasn't his only challenge. The Black Nebula earned its name for good reason. Strange phenomena occurred within its boundaries: temporal distortions, reality fractures, and worse. Rin encountered them all. Creatures that defied physics emerged from rifts in space-time. Energy storms that could shred starships swept across the moon's surface without warning. Yet each challenge only made Rin stronger. His hybrid nature allowed him to adapt in ways no purebred species could. He learned to sense temporal distortions before they manifested, using his reptilian temperature-sensing organs combined with human intuition. He developed techniques to survive reality fractures by anchoring himself to the most stable timeline, using meditation practices from both his heritages. 5 years after his exile, everything changed. A distress signal pierced through the nebula's interference. A Galactic Council exploration fleet trapped by a massive spatial anomaly. Their ships were being torn apart by gravitational shears, and their conventional technology was useless against the nebula's chaos. Rin stood at his habitat's communications console, watching the desperate broadcasts. Among the voices calling for help, he recognized one, Admiral Threx, his crystalline exoskeleton cracked and leaking fluid, commanding what remained of his flagship. Every instinct told Rin to ignore them. These were the same people who had abandoned him, who had declared him an abomination and sentenced him to die alone. They deserved whatever fate the nebula had planned for them. But then he heard something else in the transmission. Children crying. The fleet included colony ships, families being relocated to a new settlement. Thousands of innocent lives hung in the balance. Rin's scaled hand curled into a fist. His human half warred with his reptilian pragmatism. Revenge versus compassion, justice versus mercy. He made his choice. Using his years of experience navigating the nebula's dangers, Rin modified his mining drone into a rescue beacon. He broadcast a narrow-band signal that cut through the interference, providing a stable navigation path. Then he suited up and launched himself toward the fleet in a makeshift spacecraft cobbled together from salvaged parts. The journey nearly killed him. Reality bent and twisted around his small vessel, but Rin's hybrid senses guided him through. He reached the fleet and transmitted precise navigation data, routes he had mapped through years of surviving the impossible. One by one, the ships followed his guidance to safety. As the last vessel cleared the anomaly, Rin's spacecraft finally gave out, its systems overloaded by the nebula's hostile environment. Admiral Threx's flagship was the one that retrieved him. The Admiral stood in the airlock as they brought Rin aboard, his multiple eyes wide with disbelief. "Why?" Threx asked, his voice broken. "After what we did to you, why save us?" Rin Valor met the Admiral's gaze, his mismatched eyes, one human brown, one reptilian gold, burning with quiet intensity. "Because that's what humans do," he said simply. "We survive, we adapt, and when someone needs help, we answer the call, even when it costs us everything." The silence that followed spoke volumes. Admiral Threx fell to his knees, a gesture of profound respect in his species. "I was wrong," he whispered. "We were all wrong." News of Rin's heroism spread across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. The creature they had condemned as an abomination had proven more human and more heroic than any of them. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, where Admiral Threx himself led the motion to not only pardon Rin Valor, but to establish new laws protecting hybrid species. Rin Valor became a legend, the half-human reptile beast who refused to let hate and prejudice define him. He had been abandoned and condemned by an entire galaxy, yet he had saved it anyway. Because that's what humanity does best. It endures. It perseveres, and it never stops fighting for what's right, no matter the cost.